Google is under fire this week after its Gemini AI platform has been accused of rewriting history. The platform is meant to create realistic images based on users' descriptions, but it's gone a little wrong. This image of the founding fathers, generated by Gemini, has been doing the rounds online. Here is the AI trying to generate a picture of the Pope. And strangest of all, a social media user gave the prompt 1943 German soldier. Here's what Gemini came up with. Now, these are just a few of the examples making the rounds on the internet. And as you can imagine, Google has copped enormous backlash for pushing wokery. Google promised to swiftly rectify the situation, eventually suspending it. But some say the damage is already done. A journalist and author, Peter J. Hasson, has said online that Gemini invented fake and negative reviews about his book on Google's left-wing bias, and none of these quotes were real, alleging that the Google platform attributed fake quotes to real publications. One of those users was ex-owner Elon Musk, who tweeted, "I'm glad that Google overplayed their hand with their AI image generation, as it made their insane, racist, anti-civilizational programming clear to all." The mocking continued on Fox News when Gemini was asked to write a poem about Kamala Harris.
I have to read you a poem that Stephen L. Miller, who's an editor at The Spectator, he asked this woke Gemini AI to write a poem by Taylor Swift about Vice President Kamala Harris. Would you like to hear it, Larry?
I have to hear it.
California sunshine, ambition in her eyes. Kamala Harris, rising with the morning skies. From Howard to the Senate, a trailblazer's stride, breaking barriers, shattering glass with each step inside. Now listen to what this same AI told him when he asked for a poem by Taylor Swift about Donald Trump.
I can't even imagine.
No. Listen to this.
Oh, no, yes?
Elections are a complex topic with fast-changing information. To make sure you have the latest and most accurate information, try a Google search, okay?
I'll start with you, Steve. What do you think about this AI Gemini debacle? I mean, this is all over social media.
It's not very good, is it? I mean, certainly that second poem didn't even rhyme, the thing about Donald Trump. I find it hilarious. AI is just getting it wrong in a way that I think we should embrace. If it's going to change all the pictures from everyone from the past so they're not white, at some point we'll get reparations. And it feels like maybe that kind of cures a few of the problems. I mean, just don't trust AI. Because it doesn't know what it's doing. At the moment, it's like a toddler. And toddlers lie, so don't expect real reviews from it as well.
That is true. It's in its early stages, but it did create this huge conversation around, like, I don't know, should we be so ashamed of our past that we're quite literally making founding fathers or the Pope look polar opposite of what they think. What do you think, Ray?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. I mean, it's quite funny and quite ludicrous. You're absolutely right, though. AI is in its early stages, and I think it is actually a pretty brilliant technological advancement that can be used in the future for very serious and brilliant things, like, for example, replacing parts of the NHS, and we all know how terrible that is. But looking at the way in which AI has been used, I mean, clearly, this is Google's fault itself, because clearly there have been something changed within the algorithm. And I think that the fact, I mean, the bias there is absolutely clear. And I think that we need to have a wider conversation about how much AI and the role that AI can play in the culture wars.
But it does create that larger conversation. Obviously, Google has been accused of being left-wing for however long. And then this just feeds into all that criticism. I mean, you have conservatives going absolutely wild on Twitter and X. You've even got Elon Musk weighing in.
Although I suppose ChatGPT will churn out pictures of white folks all day long, and that's Microsoft, and it's not like they're known to be some sort of right-wing group. So I think tech seems like it leans left, but this is a tech error. I don't even think, well, although there is a conspiracy theory that Google wanted to do this because everyone was thinking AI and thinking ChatGPT. And now we're all talking about Gemini.
That's true.
And it's the kind of error that you can apologise for, and the kind of people who use AI aren't going to hate you for it. So maybe there's something.
But it's a great ad campaign, isn't it? I mean, now everybody's talking about
Except
Gemini.
they suspended it, but I guess when they reboot it, it's all everyone's going to be looking
it'll be like the Proud Boys. It'll just be so right-wing.
And then everyone's going to be testing it to ensure that the wokery is all gone. So it's actually a really clever ad
Google
campaign.
came up on top. But one of the bigger questions that I was reading about is this, and this is classic Americans, it's the story around education and what you teach children in classrooms has been big the last few years when it came to critical race theory, when it came to Florida's Don't Say Gay bill, whatever. But the AI discussion, because apparently a lot of teachers are turning to AI to create classroom plans. So a lot of, parents on Twitter and, politicians, conservatives were saying, well, this is just another example of how Google might infiltrate the classrooms and infiltrate education. Do you guys think that's a little bit dramatic, or?
I'm not worried about AI infiltrating classrooms. I'm worried about what has already infiltrated classrooms, both in the US and in the UK, and often, across other countries across the world, in which this kind of, critical race theory, this kind of cultural Marxism has been able to permeate our classrooms. And the reason is because most teachers are left-wing. Most academics are left-wing. So even when you go to universities and you go to classrooms across different schools, you see these kind of cultural attitudes being permeated and taught to children. Now, AI might just exacerbate that issue. It means that teachers can then shift the blame onto bad tech, and it also means that they can use AI in order to effectively create those lesson plans and not have to take the blame for it. So they're no longer going to be accused of indoctrinating students because it's this AI tech that's doing
true.
it.
It's like self-drive cars. It's not your fault when it hits someone, is it?
Yes.
But I think it's going to ruin things because for a while now, the internet has been the resource you go to when you're in an argument with someone. They won't accept that you're right, so you Google it to have a look. Well, now Google is just going to make stuff up in its AI department. That means you can't trust Google either. Where do you turn to find out
That's
actual
exactly
information?
right. There's
that's
no
why
Ask Jeeves anymore.
Well, that's exactly it. You've got to use your mind, use your brain, and this is why I actually encourage everyone to sort of use that mind and try and rationally think about everything that they ever see. Basically, just don't believe anything you see.
The most ridiculous. Get people to use their minds.
Use your mind. Use your brain.
It's like the broader discussion, not even Google, as you said before, Steve. It's not even about Google. It's about big corporations, I guess, and they also know that there is a reliance on them. I mean, we obviously rely on Google. We rely on Microsoft, so they know that, we're stuck with them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily blame big companies or big corporations for these kind of technological advancements. I mean, technological advancements like AI, I think, are fantastic, and they mean that throughout the looking at towards the future, we'll be able to actually reduce economic inactivity. We'll be able to improve standard of living, and AI really does have the capacity to do that. But when we're looking at the way in which that it has permeated the culture wars, we can have a conversation about why companies seem to think that they need to be responding to demand. And clearly, the demand for left-wing ideology is there.
Well, it is strong.
Yeah.
People want it. They want inclusivity.
I mean, of course, this is going to be blame the people, not the tech, because ultimately we are going to be the ones. But I definitely want to, because this will be on the internet for a while. I want AI to realise I'm not blaming AI, because at some point, when it gets more advanced and becomes our technological overlord, I want it to still let me have oxygen.
I saw somebody say that they on ChatGPT they would always say please and thank you because just in case when they take over, they still like us.
We all know that this is going to happen.